Aloha and welcome to Lay Stories. I am your host, Kara, and today I am joined by the one and only Karla Takazono. She is a light in this world, and I am blessed to call her a lifelong sister and friend. She brings so much joy and life, and I just hope that you'll be blessed by her story today. We will be making lei with pua kalaunu, or crown flower, also known as milkweed. And what I love about this flower, or what's so special about it, is that monarch caterpillars feed off of the leaves, eventually transforming into beautiful monarch butterflies. So we're going to start with a story of transformation, and we'll just dive right in and talk about a pivotal moment as we start to string our pua kalaunu on our needle. What is a pivotal moment that you had in your life recently, kind of like a start of a new journey?
Yeah, man, there's so many times in my life that felt very pivotal,
Mm-hmm.
that felt very scary,
Yeah.
that felt very new. But out of all those times, I would have to say becoming a mom. And the reason why I chose that one is because the day that I became a mom, like, I felt like everything changed in my life. I was holding my 2 year old, well, she's 2 years old now,
Yeah.
but I was holding her in my arms when she was just a day old.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, what just happened? Like,
Yeah.
everything is changing.
Wow.
And it was almost like it felt like she was alive. I could hear her heart beating, could feel her moving, her crying, her little voice.
Mm.
But she also looked like this, like, shriveled up alien. And I remember just being like, I'm a mom. Like, I'm I'm in I'm responsible for giving life to this
Mm-hmm.
new baby.
Yeah.
And everything that I do, she's going to watch. And
Yeah.
she's going to see me doing it. And I think that was just a huge pivotal moment, and it's really shaped who I am today.
How has she given you a different perspective on just human life?
When you're like a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
and then you become a young adult, and you
Mm-hmm.
go to college, and life is kind of fun. You live in your parents' house. They
Mm-hmm.
kind of provide everything that you need.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really worry about certain things that maybe adults would worry about.
Mm-hmm.
And um, when I held her in my arms, although there were things in my life I had to be responsible for,
Yeah.
her life just felt more real. And I think just understanding the responsibility of just wanting to be a provider for her and give her everything that um, she needed. And also, I also felt this deep sense in me of like, I need to make sure that I'm an amazing mom to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, my heart in just talking about character
Mm-hmm.
or fears that I've ran away for so long
Mm-hmm.
and never faced. Like, I realized, like, I can't run away from those fears anymore. And it just made me feel more courageous to want to be able to face those things.
Can I ask what those particular things
Oh,
were? What are those fears that you speak about?
There's many fears.
Yes.
Kara.
Okay. Tell me about some of these fears.
Yeah. Well, I guess one of them is just, I mean, gosh, there's so many fears.
Yeah.
But I think one of the main fears is being able to provide what, like, everything that she needs.
Yeah.
Like, being the role model that she wants to look up to one day. Or even my relationship with my husband. I really wanted her to just look at our relationship and be like, wow, like, my mom and dad love each other. And
Yeah.
it's not that, like, I was afraid, but I just realized, wait a minute, like, I don't want to feel like I'm performing
Yeah.
for her. I wanted it to be real. And so I struggle with performance,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been like a journey that I've been on. Just undoing, thinking about what others think about me and whatnot, and just living from a place of like, this is authentically who I am.
Yeah.
And I wanted her to see the messy and the love and the beauty and the ugly and all
Yeah.
those things. And like, I've always been so afraid to show that to other people. I wanted people to think I had it all together.
Yeah.
That I have everything in control.
Yeah.
But I know that it's hard to do that when you're living with someone and someone is seeing every detail of your life.
Tell me how that's like. She's seeing every detail of your life. She's seeing you actually naked. She's seeing you metaphorically naked in the sense that she sees all your emotions.
Yeah.
She's right up and close.
Yeah.
And what have you gotten from her as far as feedback? You know,
Well,
does
she's
she?
2 years old.
I
right
know.
now.
So, but what do you receive from her?
You know, I'm definitely way more hard on myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, there's times, actually, as I was coming today, Kara.
Yes.
I was on a Zoom call.
Okay.
I was on a meeting for work. And
wow.
My husband had to step out of the house real quick. He had a meeting, and the meeting went a little longer, so she had to come in the room. And she's 2 years old, so she's, she's learning her emotion. She's learning her voice.
Yes.
Like when I scold her, she's learned how to scold mom and dad now, and we have to correct her, right? Like, you don't talk like that to us.
Mm-hmm.
But she's that today she started to just go, mommy, 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 in the middle of my meeting, and I felt like I was out of control.
Yeah.
I felt like I was out of control, and I think in the chaos of that moment, like every parent, I believe, I wanted to yell at her, and I wanted to blame her,
mm-hmm.
And that, I think that was my biggest fear in making her feel like she was the issue or she was the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I was mad, and I had to end the meeting, and I did kind of yell at her, and I said, Aria, you need to calm down. My daughter's name is Aria.
Mm-hmm.
You need to calm down. And she was just crying, and I think she just wanted my attention.
Sure.
And I know that. And I think in that moment, I had to like pick myself up and just say, like, Karla, it's okay. It's okay that you're frustrated.
Yeah.
It's okay that you don't feel in control right now. It's okay that, like, it's okay. You can breathe. Like, and Aria, like, in that moment, she was crying, and I just felt like she was so disappointed in me.
Oh.
And it was mom guilt, like, definitely mom guilt, for sure. And I was like, oh man, like, I've been working so hard on patience.
Sure.
I've been working so hard on, all this stuff, and
you have to have grace for yourself in that moment, though. Otherwise, you'd go down a spiral of.
Oh, I definitely went down a spiral.
You did.
And then Shay okay. was gone. He was in my Shay, my husband.
Yeah.
He was in a meeting. And I started going down that spiral, and to find out she was tired.
Of course.
So I put her on a nap, and as we were, like, I was putting her on a nap, she kind of held me, and she said, Mommy, I just wanna hug you.
Oh.
And it kind of made me cry, because I was like, it felt like such a failure in the moment, because I got frustrated at her. I took my anger out on her. But yeah, she's just a beautiful sign of just grace and love, and I know she doesn't expect the world, but I think I expect myself to give her the world. Yeah. So.
Well, I've seen you up and close parenting, and I've told you, I know it means something, but you do a beautiful job at giving her everything that you have, and I think I told you before, she's 2, Karla. I don't know what 2-year-old. She has everything she could ever want and more. And so, but I love that. But I love that she's a reminder of the grace that you can give to yourself. And speaking of that, flowers are one of those things that, sometimes when we're making lei, some flowers are a little bit more fragile than others and need a little bit of like reinforcement by other stems or other leaves, especially when making a different kind of lei, not this one specifically, but you're talking about just the challenges the joys and the challenges of motherhood.
Yes.
And I'd love to know, like, flowers that need reinforcement sometimes, that are a little bit more fragile and not as strong in certain seasons and moments. Who or what is it that you lean on for your reinforcement, your strength?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. I honestly don't think I could live my life if it wasn't for my faith. I've been through a lot, and there were moments where I definitely felt like I couldn't live this life anymore. But my faith in God and my faith in Jesus and just my relationship that I have in God, it's really grounded me and helps me to believe that it's so much more than just what I need, or it's so much more than just my problems.
Yeah.
But there's a God in this universe that sees me, that knows me, that hears me, and I put my trust. I put my, like, obviously we're talking about struggling with control.
Yes.
I relinquish my control to Him.
Yeah.
And it helps me. And that's where I find my peace. That's where I find my patience. That's where I find my life. And I'm able to have grace for myself. I think in past seasons, before ever putting my faith in God, I really struggled with that. With giving myself grace, with giving myself a second chance.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I would say it's my faith.
That's so good.
Jesus.
Before your faith, I'm curious.
Yeah.
Before your faith and talking about struggles and challenges, and you mentioned even not feeling like you could live in this world anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a big statement and kind of alarming. So walk us through that season of your life.
Yeah. So, growing up, I dealt with a lot of self-image, hatred. I really thought I was a mistake in this world.
Oh, wow.
I remember being a young teen in middle school and looking in the mirror and just being disgusted at what I saw.
Wow.
And I never really grew up with people saying that I was ugly.
Yeah.
I never really heard my parents really saying that either. I think I had an expectation of what a thriving person should look like, and I didn't meet the bill in my understanding.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I felt very insecure and was searching for validation far and wide. And I believe it was in 2010 when Instagram came out.
Okay.
Yeah. And it kind of skyrocketed.
Yes, it did.
And it was I think it was a freshman in high school at the time. And I was like, whoa, what is this platform where you can just like be something you're not?
Yeah.
And you can kind of hide all your insecurities. And you can post a picture that you're happy when really you're not happy. And people like it. And I when people hit that like button, I would just be like, oh, this is the best feeling in the world. It's kind of masking my depression, or it's kind of masking my shame or my insecurity. And I became like addicted to just the simple like of a social media post.
Wow.
And posting pictures of myself were because I was looking for validation.
Yeah.
Right? And so I developed an eating disorder shortly after that. And first it was like I tried to hide it from my parents, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And one day my mom found out, and she was truly worried about me.
Sure.
And she sent me to doctors and psychiatrists and therapists um, and I truthfully just I wanted I like I was talking about earlier my feeling of wanting to control things.
Yes.
That was kind of what was happening. I felt out of control.
Yeah.
In my life, and this was something I felt like I could control, but I was literally killing myself.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely a hard time in my life, but through that season, and it was like about 6 years.
Yeah. That's a long time.
Yeah, it was definitely hard, and it got to the point where I got sent to the doctor, and they diagnosed me with bulimia and anorexia, and my mom was just worried about me, and I think she probably felt like maybe she failed too as a mom, and I think she didn't know how to respond in certain ways, so I think in her way of responding was just by shutting down.
Yeah.
And so 6 years of that, I got to the point at the end of 6 years, like, I'm sick of this, and I don't know if there's any hope. So I was extremely suicidal.
Yeah. Whoa. What eventually got you out of that place?
Yeah, so I think that it has to do with what I was talking about earlier about my faith.
Yeah.
I kind of grew up in church my whole life, and I thought God was just a figment of someone's imagination, or he wasn't actually a real person in this world. And my parents were very strong Christians, and I remember just thinking to myself, like, there's no way that he's real. If he's real, then why am I so messed up?
Yeah.
Or like, why do I feel like I'm mistaken? If he is real, why did he create me? And why do I feel all this anxiety, all this depression, all this shame, all this fear? And I grew up singing songs like Jesus loves me, and I don't know, like I think in that moment when I really did feel like I hit rock bottom, just in who I was as a person, I desperately cried out to God, and I said, God, if you're real, like I want to encounter you, and I had a moment of realization, like, he loves me. He loves me for me, not for anything else. Like, he didn't make a mistake.
Yeah.
And I realized he wasn't this mean God up in the sky, but he was close, and he was near to my heart, and it began to just change the way I saw myself and the way I saw others and how I saw the world too.
A deep love, it sounds like, that just drew you into a place of peace and contentment with who you are and how you're made, that there's no mistake. To go from, I'm a mistake, my life is not worth living, I'm better off dead than alive, to go from there to, I'm loved, I'm made purposefully, I'm created with unique design, and nothing about me is a mistake. That's got to rock your world.
Yeah, it was definitely a journey.
Sure.
Like, it wasn't like an overnight, like, I know that I am loved and I'm not a mistake. Like, it was I knew he loved me. I
Yeah.
was overwhelmed by his love. I would cry every day
Yeah.
because his love was so overwhelming. Like I would just be like, why? Like I don't deserve this love. And I'd be like in my room just crying and like reflecting on my whole life and
Yeah.
just being like realizing that he was there every moment and that he wasn't mad at me and he wasn't ashamed of me and he wanted to be there and he wanted to father my heart and he wanted to
Mm-hmm.
just simply love me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that was ever a thing that God could do.
Sure.
and yeah, so it was definitely journey. Definitely journey.
I wonder how you live your life now. I know you're still on the journey,
Yes.
but how do you live your life now in this place of being loved? And how do you mother from that place as well?
Yeah. I think you can't. Okay, so I would say this.
Yeah.
You can't give what you haven't received,
Beautiful.
right?
Yep.
And every time when I try to give something that I haven't received,
Mm-hmm.
it feels fake.
Sure.
It feels forced,
Yep.
right? And it's I struggle with pride. Like
Sure.
that's totally something that I'm working on.
Yeah.
And it's me letting my walls down and letting myself receive the affirmation and the love that I need so that I can give it to those who are around me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say receiving that love, it's receiving the truth
Mm-hmm.
that God has said over me,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm chosen.
Mm-hmm.
I never used to believe that for
Mm-hmm.
like 21 years of my life,
Mm-hmm.
that I have
Mm-hmm.
purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And holding Aria now
Mm-hmm.
and being able to mother her,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that reality that I have purpose on this earth, that I wasn't a mistake. Even through all the hardships, all the things that I went through, I look in her eyes and there's nothing more in this world I want to do is pull that out of her.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it's like, I'm going to parent her with the love that I received.
Beautiful.
And so I think that's kind of how it's changed my perspective in parenting.
Mm-hmm. In parenting. And you mentioned something interesting earlier about social media, and I feel like I want to circle back on that because it is a hot topic.
Oh yes.
And having gone through that struggle of the highlight reel and living for likes and the validation that comes from people seeing you and, well, I guess sort of seeing you.
Yeah.
Not fully seeing you, but seeing you in that way, whatever you're choosing to post, however you pose.
Yeah.
What do you say now on the other side of that to those individuals, primarily, Gen Z?
Yeah.
Right? Gen Z is the next generation and even your daughter's generation, right? Like, what is your message to them, knowing now what you know and having overcome the challenge?
I think, social media, it's kind of like, so there's a lot I have to say about it, truthfully,
Sure.
because I've listened to multiple podcasts
Yes.
on just social media. I think also now that social media is about like over 10 years old and there's science behind it. Now they're doing studies. I mean, there's so much to say about what happens when someone constantly gets a notification binging on their phone, and the dopamine.
Absolutely.
The dopamine that just like charges in your brain.
It's addicting.
It's addicting. It's dopamine it's the response in our body, or the that chemical response to something that's gratifying, right? But instant gratification. But when it's like over, like it's a lot of dopamine all at once, we get addicted without even realizing it.
Sure.
And a lot of times we when we think of addictions, we think of drugs, we think of alcohol, or we think of just all these other things. But one of the things that I've learned is social media can very much be that.
Yeah.
And for a young girl who is looking for affirmation,
Mm-hmm.
who's looking for validation and just wants to be seen and heard and known. Yeah, social media looks very like attractive. Um, but I guess what I would say to Gen Z, or even to my younger self, if I were talking to my younger
Yeah,
self,
to younger Karla or to Aria as she grows
Yeah.
into herself, as well as the Gen
Yeah.
Z.
I think I would just say like believe that you are amazing.
Yeah,
Like all those likes, they're just for a moment.
yeah.
Half the people who like it don't even know you.
Mm.
And you don't just like, do you want to be liked for what you post, or do you want to like this?
Yeah,
Us sitting in our
Yep.
room,
yeah,
making lay, having a real conversation.
yeah.
This right here is what our heart longs for
Yes.
and desires for.
Connection.
Connection.
Yes.
But connection is so scary sometimes.
It is.
And Instagram kind of is the illusion that I can just hide behind a device, think I have connection, but I really don't.
That's right.
And I feel like we grow when we have real connection with each other.
Yeah.
And we get to see who we truly are when we're in that friendship or we're in that relationship with another person. And social media likes to just lie to us and tell us that, oh no, this is who you have to be, and who you really are is not good enough.
Yeah.
But I can promise you that's not the truth. And
What
so
is the truth?
the truth is you are loved. You are
Yes.
special. Like I
Yes.
think that's if Aria was to go to school one day and she was to be bullied or she struggled with her self identity, man, I would, as a mom who loves her, who's known what that felt like, I would just sit her down and I would look into her eyes and I would tell her every day, I love you.
Yeah.
You are loved. You are.
Yeah.
And because I know that's what she's looking for. She needs to just know that she's loved, you know?
That is a beautiful way to end. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved. I so appreciate you, Karla, and sharing your wisdom. She is so wise beyond her years, and I hope that something of what she shared deeply resonated with you as it did with me. And we just thank you for being here, for sharing your space with us, for sharing your time with us, and thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.